Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is iGoRawr and welcome to Let's Auraxium. And today, I am here to quell the uprising and dispel the false prophet. Yes, of course, I'm talking about the NS-15M. A weapon that people seem to rave about like it's the second coming of Christ. I knew going into this review if I didn't nail every single little aspect about this weapon that I would be pissing someone off. So prepare for a view that's so up close and personal that your next wet dream is going to involve this weapon and perhaps even be narrated by my smooth, sensual voice. Now with that out of the way, let's look at the stats. Starting off with a fire rate of 625 rounds per minute and a damage model of 143 damage up to 10 meters, dropping off to 125 damage at 65 meters, we come to the biggest problem with this weapon. It is the slowest killing primary weapon in the game if you exclude sniper rifles when you only go for body shots, and the lasher, which is really more of a suppression tool. It has a reload speed of 2.1 seconds for a short reload and 2.5 seconds for a long reload. This makes it the fastest reloading LMG in the game by a significant margin, and it's one of the biggest draws to the weapon. It has a magazine size of 55 rounds and an ammo pool of 220 rounds, which is slightly above average of what you would expect for a weapon of this damage model. And it has a muzzle velocity of 640 meters a second, which is pretty much middle of the road for LMGs. It's also worth mentioning, as like all nanite system weaponry, it has a 0.75 ADS speed multiplier. And this is only one of 3 LMGs in the game that have it. Now, as with most nanite system weaponry, it has just about every attachment in the game available to it. However, when it came to my preferred setup, I like to use a 1x or a 2x scope, but a scope is very subjective, so just use whatever you're comfortable with. In the rail slot, I would always run the forward grip. The other attachments just doesn't benefit this weapon that much. When it came to the barrel, I preferred running it without an attachment, although a compensator is completely viable if you really need it. However, do not silence this weapon under any circumstances. It just does not work. And when it comes to ammo attachments, I actually ran without one, although soft point is viable, high velocity is kind of viable, but it's just piss in the wind, and really it doesn't make a huge difference on the gun. So that brings us to our final question. Is this gun worth your time? And the answer is complicated. It's definitely not the second coming of Christ a lot of people make it out to be, but it's still a decent weapon. But I have a few problems with it. The first of which is its time to kill versus its viability at range. Now, when looking at a weapon, there are a lot of other factors to consider, but the biggest thing that I look for in a weapon is how good it is at range versus how fast it'll kill someone. And if I compare the NS-15M to a weapon like the Pulsar C, Vanu's Sniper Carbine, and the CME, the only fully automatic weapon in the game that could probably make use of a 12x scope, I would say the NS-15M is just okay. But I did cherry pick 2 of Vanu's secret OP weapons. Don't tell anyone, so let's just compare the NS-15M to other LMGs. And when you compare it to other LMGs, the NS-15M is incredibly unique. Now, like I said before, it's an incredibly slow killing weapon. However, you're going to be wanting to engage your targets at a longer range. And when it comes to weapons like this, rate of fire is pretty irrelevant, and all that matters is how controllable the weapon is in small bursts. And the NS-15M is incredibly good at this. In fact, I can't think of any other weapon in the game that is fully automatic that does burst fire quite as well as the NS-15M does. But here's something I find rather confusing about the NS-15M. It has one of the highest horizontal recoils in the LMG class of weaponry, and it has one of the sharpest angles of horizontal recoil, which is the exact opposite of what you want on a long-range weapon. However, because of its very low rate of fire, this horizontal pull is extremely manageable. In fact, after 2 hours of using the weapon, I didn't even feel the pull anymore. So all of that being said, what do I think of the weapon as a whole? I think it's pretty good. Although there are other weapons I would rather be using at ranges where the NS-15M are effective, none of them are available to the heavy assault class. And as far as that class goes as a whole, I feel that the NS-15M across all factions is the best weapon for long-range fighting. Anyways guys, that's it for this time. My name's been iGoRawr, and I'll see you guys next time. Oh, Death by Fanboy, that's a new one.